Okay. Try something here.
Welcome to Line War, a new type of multiplayer real-time
I'll watch you on
battles, and all units are controlled with
on
a
my
new
phone
type of
for just
visual
a
command
minute.
system. The new command system lets you focus on the strategy and act in multiple theaters at the same time with little micromanagement. How to play Line War in 1
Okay,
minute.
do you remember what it said to do?
Pick a strong starting position in the picking
Okay,
phase.
so the
Top right
first thing that
is
you
your
do
economy and energy
is you play
stats.
sandbox and you pick a territory. Okay.
Why would I do that, though? Why would I do that? Why would I bother doing that?
Okay, then just use meat shields.
What are you talking about? Infantry?
Like infantry. Yeah. Hold on a second.
Okay, no, like the sandbox mode, like yeah, trying out stuff versus stuff. See what's good against it, but like I don't see how trying to do it against me will help.
At the bottom is the game bar, where you configure commands, construct buildings,
You know?
and configure production.
Uh-huh.
Expand and conquer
Like,
Oh,
territories.
that'll
Build
help a lot.
producers
Like,
I
to
only
produce
see it as
land,
short-term,
sea,
man.
and air units.
If I'm playing against myself,
Build energy structures to gather and
no,
store
that's
energy
only to learn.
required
You don't have
to
to
move
do that.
tanks,
I'm not
all
saying
sea
you have
units,
to do
and
that.
all air units.
All I'm saying is
Build
if you
economic
want to do
structures
that,
to
try that.
maximize your economy,
not,
but
then
territory
don't bother.
conquering is generally more important. Use different command
Yeah, I'm
shapes
trying to
depending
rush.
on your
being rude,
No, not.
hitting, sorry, give me. See, look on this map. See, on this map, there's wood, and there's farm icons and shit. See what I'm looking at? There's diamond. I didn't have that on my map. See this?
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck? I didn't have any of this.
That's strange.
There's the
You're in
16
sandbox
wood.
mode?
No, Hammer. I'm not. I'm looking at a tutorial.
Oh, okay.
Are you looking?
Yeah, I'm watching.
starting position in the picking
Seed
phase.
100.
Top right is your economy and energy stats. At the bottom is the game bar, where you configure commands, construct buildings, and configure production. Expand and conquer territories. Build producers to produce land, sea, and air units.
Your picking phase, it says.
Build energy structures to gather and store energy, required to move tanks, all sea units, and all air units. Build economic structures to maximize your economy, but territory conquering is generally more important. Use different command shapes depending on your need. Store energy, required to move tanks, all sea units, and all air units. Build economic structures to maximize your economy, but territory conquering is generally more important. Use different command shapes depending on your need. Choose between the engage, move, and defend directive to set how units should behave. Configure which units should respond to a command. Select one or more commands, reconfigure or delete them. Keep commands neat and tidy. Eliminate all your opponent's structures to win. Good luck and have fun! Sandbox. From the main menu, you can start the sandbox where commands and how the game works at your own pace. The tutorial videos are accessible from the sandbox, so you can watch tutorials and practice in the sandbox. You can do everything here that you would in a real game, and you can also toggle between the sandbox players, spawn units, and accelerate time. Camera control. There are multiple ways to pan the camera in Line War. Click and hold the right mouse button to pan in any button to drag to a new location. Use the arrow keys to pan when you are near the edge. Use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Use the slash key, that's the key to your left above tab, or scroll out past the maximum tilted zoom to toggle the overview camera. You can control camera settings such as panning speed and sensitivity in the settings dialog. Settings. Access the settings depending on your computer performance and control audio volumes. Support for later. You can revert to default settings through the revert button of each setting. Finding a match. Line War has multiple lobby overview. Players are listed at the top right. The player with a crown is the current lobby owner. Players can change seats at the how to win. Eliminate when everything feels hopeless. Picking phase. To balance the asymmetric how to win that, as most matches end through resignation when everything feels hopeless. Picking phase. To balance the asymmetric nature of worlds, the picking phase is crucial to the outcome of a match. The picking phase has a guide to the right to walk you through the steps. First, everyone will pick their desired start location. Pick strategically strong areas to either spawn there yourself or block that region for your opponents. The first few rounds are called primary rounds, where you claim your zone of interest. Try to claim as many territories as possible for you and your team in geographically strong locations of the world. When all teams have claimed enough zone of interest, or when there are no more territories to pick, the final picking round begins. In the final picking round, you select the actual territories you start in. You can pick up to 5 optional territories at a cost of 200 capital per territory.
Maybe it's an option in that.
Most of the time, it's recommended
in
that
the
you pick
options
as
of the
many
game
optional territories as you can, as they help
list
to
those
generate income,
icons.
and land territories provide you with additional starting units.
Show
If you are in a
resources.
team game with additional starting units, help to generate income, and land territories provide you with additional starting units. If you are in a team game, chat or talk to your teammates and be careful not to block your teammates. All territories you pick must be adjacent to ones that you control and within your team's zone of interest. Usually, it's a terrible idea to start in a corner because your opponent will grow a strong economy and army by the time you meet. Consider starting in the outskirts only if strong and central locations have been banned during the early stages of the picking phase. User interface. At the top right, your 2 resources, energy and capital, are displayed. Hover over any of them to bring up more buttons on the lower right and alliance button. Red capital. Capital is the currency and economy of Line War. On top of a base income of 200 capital per minute, additional capital is generated by controlling territories and building economic structures such as farms, lumber mills, mines, towns, cities, ports, and establishing trade routes between some of the ports. Capital is required to build structures, produce units, and pay for the upkeep of existing units and structures. At the top right, you can see information about your economy. How much capital you have, your net rate of capital income or loss. The green bar shows your total capital income. The combined bar below shows your upkeep in red and production cost in blue. Hover over the capital region to see more detailed information breaking down the types of income, upkeep, and production costs. Energy. Energy is a crucial resource in Line War. In the game do not rely on energy, and those are infantry, commandos, artillery, and SAM. You have 25 energy to start with. Use it wisely through early scouting or small amphibious crossings for early expansion. Then you will need to locate energy wells in the world, shown as bubbling oil on land or as oil slicks at sea. Once you have conquered the territory of an energy well, you can construct a refinery on the energy well. The refinery will produce energy until it is full, until it's transferred, or while units are consuming energy. Energy-consuming units will only use energy while they are moving, not when they are standing still. If you do not control any territories with energy wells, you can construct a power plant instead. They cost the same as a refinery, but they are 3 times less effective. If you run out of energy, an alarm will sound and the energy icon will flash red. Your units will puff smoke and air units will return to base. Units without energy take twice the amount of damage. Conserve energy by planning your moves. Strike at your opponent's energy production and energy supplies to halt their advance. Games can be won by denying energy, and games can be lost if you fail to produce, conserve, or protect your energy. Command Overview. Line War features a new type of visual command system. It may take some time to get used to, but when you get the hang of it, it will allow you to do many things that would otherwise be difficult. Draw commands and let your units follow them in many places of the world.
You working through the tutorials?
Land and sea units will respond to the command if they are within range. The range is shown as an inward animated region around the command. Units will respond to the command until all the destinations of the command have an intended unit moving toward it. Air units can respond to commands that are within their operational range, provided that air units are configured to respond. Access the commands through the command bar. Point command. Click on land or at sea to create a point command. Nearby land and sea units will move to the point command. Use the point command button in the command bar to toggle between small or big point commands for new or selected commands, which will affect the range and number of units that the point command will attract. If air units are set to respond to the command, air units within their operational range will fly to it and circle around it before returning. Line command. Use the line command button followed by left-clicking and dragging in the world to create a line command. The direction in which you draw the command will determine in which directions the unit will face. If you draw from left to right, the dark line at the top of the line will indicate that the units will face north. You don't want to get this wrong and have a defense line full of soldiers getting attacked from behind. Use the line command button to toggle between 1, 2 or 3 lines deep for new or selected commands, which affects the range and number of units the line command will attract. If air units are set to respond to the command, air units within their operational range will fly to and patrol along the line before returning. Path command. Use the path command button in the command bar followed by drawing in the world to create a path command. Path commands are directional and they will attract units at a decreasing rate towards the destination.
So in this tutorial, he's
you can use
red.
the path command button to toggle between 1 to 5 paths, which affects the range and number of units that the path command will attract. Multiple paths also ease congestion. If air units are set to respond to the command, they will fly along the path, circle at the arrowhead, and return to the base, provided that the path is within the operational range of the aircraft. Target command. Click on an enemy structure to create a target command on it. Units within range will find their way to the target and attack it until it is destroyed. Units may fire on enemy units on their way to the target, but they will prioritize reaching the target at all costs. Directives overview. Commands have directives associated with them. The directive tells the unit how they should behave and what priorities they have. You can set directives before you create a command, or change the directive for selected commands.
Well, that was pretty cool. He took out their...
Engage
it looked
directive.
like a city or a resource
Click
or
on the
something like
Engage
that.
directive button to set the Engage
Triple them.
directive for new and selected commands. A command is shown in yellow when it's configured with the Engage directive. Units look 360 degrees around them and engage any nearby target. Units may deviate away from the command as they chase enemy units.
Hopefully she comes
Move
by
directive.
and sees you.
Click on the Move Directive button to set the Move Directive for new and selected commands.
Yeah, we'll
A
see.
command is shown in blue when it's configured with the Move Directive. Units will prioritize
Getting pretty
getting
late,
to their
it's like midnight
destination,
there.
but they will fire on enemy units primarily in front of them if they get in their way. Units will stop only if they're blocked. Defend Directive. Click on the Defend Directive button to configure new and selected line commands on land with the Defend Directive. A line command is shown in black when it's configured with the defend directive. Units will prioritize getting to the defensive line command, and once they reach their designated position, they begin to dig in. During the dig-in period, tanks will consume energy and other land units will suffer minus 34 HP per minute of fatigue, from which they will recover after being idle for some time. When a unit is fully entrenched, they receive a 20% firepower bonus and a 30% armor bonus, except when attacked from a 90-degree arc from behind. Entrenched units on a defense line also have a 15% armor modifier against grenades like those fired by artillery. Command receivers. Prior to creating commands or for selected commands, click on the button for the category of units or individual unit types to toggle if units should respond to the command. The command will show white icons on the command with the category or unit type set to respond. You can toggle this configuration at any time on existing commands. For example, you may want to create a path command only for tanks. Press space to clear the command bar, click the tank button, and draw your path command. If you click space or click the right mouse button or the reset button, the command bar will be reset. Now when a command is created, LineWar will detect common units as receivers. For example, if you press space and click on land, a point command with infantry and artillery is created. If you press space and draw a path at sea, a path command is drawn at sea with all sea units except landing crafts and aircraft carriers, because those are usually managed separately. If you click and drag from one piece of land onto another, an amphibious command will be created configured with landing craft and basic land units. Selecting multiple commands. You can hold the control key down and click to select multiple commands. Alternatively, you can hold shift and box select commands or double click on a command to select identical commands. This is useful if you want to delete multiple commands at once or change the command configuration on multiple commands at once. Deleting commands. Select one or more commands and press the delete button, the V key, or the delete hotkey to delete. Keep in mind to delete obsolete and unnecessary commands often. Common beginner mistakes are to leave old commands behind, which may consume energy or keep units away from where they are needed. Moving commands. Click and drag to move a single or selected commands to a new position. You cannot move commands with air units or defense lines that already have begun to dig in to an extent. This is to prevent accidental movement, which would return all air units or abandon all entrenchments. Amphibious transports. You can create an amphibious transport command by dragging from one landmass across the water into another landmass. This will automatically create an amphibious transportation command configured with landing craft and most commonly transported land units. A common mistake is to drag from shore to shore, so make sure that you start and end your command drawing on land. It is only the landing craft unit that can transport land units across the water. Conquer territories. Use the engage directive with a flag icon to make units conquer territories. As land or sea units follow the engage conquer directive, they will stop in territories in their path until they are conquered. Multiple units will conquer a territory faster. Conquering territories is crucial in LineWar and the most important source of capital income. Without this income, your enemy will grow a bigger economy and a bigger army. You must have conquered territories in which you want to build structures. Build structures. Click on the construction bar button or press F2 to access the construction bar. Provided that you have enough capital, you can build structures from here. You must have fully conquered a territory in which you want to build a structure. If you construct buildings in forest or in mountain terrain, they will be somewhat concealed at a 50% extra build time penalty. They will be somewhat concealed at a If you construct buildings in forest or in mountain terrain, they will Producers. Production structures produce units. They can be built anywhere in the world where you control the territory. Shipyards and subpens, however, can only be built on shorelines. Barracks build infantry and commando units. Factories build artillery, SAM and tank units. Shipyards build all ship units. Subpens build submarine units. Airports build all aircraft units. And launchpads build the rocket unit. Economic structures. Economic structures generate capital. Economic structures must be built on designated sites in territories under your control. Farms, lumber mills and mines are cheap to build and generate a little extra income. Towns cost a bit more to build but generate more income. Cities can be built on completed towns that have all their connected industries completed. Ports can be built on coastal towns and cities. Energy structures. Energy structures generate or stores energy. Refineries are the most cost-effective energy generating structure, but they will have to be built on designated energy wells on land or at sea. Power plants cost the same as a refinery, but it produces energy 3 times slower than a refinery. Depots can be built anywhere on land and are connected via pipelines to store energy. Produce units. Produce units in barracks, factories, shipyards, subpens, airports, and launchpads. Click on the production bar button or F3 to access the production bar. When you click on one of your own producers, it will automatically enable the production bar where you can configure which units to produce. When multiple units are enabled, they will be built in a round-robin fashion. If you do not have sufficient funds for a unit, it will be skipped. For example, if a shipyard is set to produce landing craft and cruisers, and a cruiser production is scheduled to start, it will skip producing a cruiser if there are insufficient funds, and another landing craft may be produced instead. You can stop production by disabling all units for one or more selected producers. If you double-click a producer, it will select all producers of that type on screen. You can change the production of all selected producers at the same time. Fog of war. All your units and structures will accumulate sight and clear the fog of war. It's contributing to this terrain. Forest and mountainous terrain affect concealment, construction time, and unit movement speed, and it carries unit bonuses and penalties. Units and structures in forests and mountains are harder to detect, even when the fog of war is cleared. Building structures in forests and mountains require 50% additional build time. Units move 30% slower in forests and 50% slower in mountains. The speed penalty for tanks are higher than for the other land units in terrain. Only half the speed penalty is applied in territories that you have conquered. Units in mountains have 10% armor bonus. Infantry and commandos have 10% firepower and armor bonus in forests. Commandos have 10% you have conquered. Units in mountains have 10% armor bonus. Infantry and commandos have 10% firepower and armor bonus in forests. Upkeep. Your units and structures costs upkeep to own. A big army and many structures will consume a higher portion of your capital income. You can see the upkeep by hovering in the capital sections of the info bar. You can reduce upkeep by self-destructing buildings that you don't need and by disbanding units that are far away from battle or have lost their value on the battlefield. For example, idling aircraft carriers without any aircraft, landing craft where there are no units to transport are examples of units that could be disbanded to save upkeep. Land units. The infantry unit is a generalist with good conquer efficiency. They are cheap and fast to produce, but may be weak in small numbers, especially when advancing towards artillery. Infantry is produced in barracks. The commando unit is a stealth unit that is harder for the enemy to detect. It also provides better sight to clear the fog of war. Commandos can be dropped in parachutes by transport jets, and they have greater resistance to your own rocket explosions. Commandos cost more and take longer to produce than infantry, making them less cost-effective in traditional battles. Commandos are produced in barracks. The artillery unit is a self-propelled ranged weapon that can fire grenades at a relatively long distance compared to other units. The artillery must stop and deploy itself before it can fire.
So,
artillery is good in defensive
when you
positions,
get done with
especially in mountains,
tutorial,
where it
you
can
ready
fire
to
more
try it?
grenades at oncoming enemy units that suffer the terrain speed penalty. Artillery is also dangerous offensively in high numbers, as they can assist in pushing forward alongside other units. Artillery is produced in factories. The tank unit is a durable armored fighting vehicle. It is the fastest land unit with the highest amount of firepower. The tank is the only land unit that requires energy to move. Tanks are strong in numbers, especially when hasting at higher speeds deep into enemy territory. Tanks are produced in factories. The SAM unit is an anti-aircraft vehicle. It has long forward alongside other units. Artillery is produced in factories. It is the fastest land unit with the highest amount of firepower. The tank is the only land unit that requires energy to move. Tanks are strong in numbers, especially when hasting at higher speeds deep into enemy territory. Tanks are produced in factories. The SAM unit is an anti-aircraft vehicle. It has long-range surface-to-air missiles against all aircraft and a strong machine gun against all air units except the bomber at close range. It is generally good to protect your SAM units behind cheaper and stronger land units. SAMs are produced in factories. Sea units. The landing craft unit is a transport ship capable of shipping land units across the water. It can fit up to 4 foot soldiers, 2 artillery or SAMs, or 1 tank.
I was just thinking about
Watch the
another
amphibious
game that
transport
we
tutorial
played.
for more information. Landing crafts are produced in
What's that?
shipyards.
I said I was just thinking of another game. that we
The
played, so
destroyer unit
I
is
don't
the
remember
fastest
what it
ship,
was.
and it has increased sight,
Oh.
making it a good scout,
Slipped my
and it
mind.
is especially suitable to detect submarines. The destroyer fires depth charges against submarines, but it is the submarine detection capability of destroyers that allow other units to see and fire at submarines that make them important when defending against submarines. Destroyers are produced in shipyards. The missile ship unit is an anti-aircraft unit. It has long-range surface-to-air missiles against all aircraft and a strong machine gun against all air units except bombers at close range. It is a generally weak ship against other ships. Missile ships are produced in shipyards. The cruiser unit is a long-range warship with powerful long-range grenades that are powerful against other ships and inland enemy units and structures. They are energy hungry, expensive and take a long time to produce, but they are a formidable force at sea. Cruisers are produced in shipyards. The aircraft carrier unit is a mobile airbase capable of extending the reach of short and mid-range aircraft. They are expensive and take a long time to produce and may be vulnerable if not escorted by other ships. Aircraft carriers are built in shipyards. The submarine unit is an underwater stealth unit that is harder for your enemy to detect. Your own submarines will appear to be at the surface, making them more visible to you, but your opponent will see them as submerged. Submarines fire torpedoes against all other sea units and can fire at ports, shipyards, subpens, and refineries at sea. Submarines are produced in subpens. The merchant ship unit transports goods between 2 ports connected by a trade route. You or your allies must own the ports, and merchant ships are automatically produced and commute the trade route. They have no outcomes active. Air units. When an air base, helicopters respond differently to path commands than other units, as they are attracted to path commands similar to how land units behave. Helicopters are produced at airports, and they can also land at airstrips, on aircraft carriers, or in friendly territories. The interceptor unit is a chaser aircraft that is exceptionally good at attacking other enemy air units. It is fast and maneuverable with good detection capability, which also makes it a good scout unit. Interceptors are produced at airports, and they can also land at airstrips and on aircraft carriers. The Striker unit is an attack aircraft that is exceptionally good at attacking structures and most other surface units, but generally weaker against infantry and commandos. Strikers are especially good at taking out enemy structures with a target command. Strikers are produced at airports, and they can also land at airstrips and on aircraft carriers. The bomber unit is a long-range area bomber with a high total payload. They can only be fired upon by surface-to-air missiles and other aircraft. Bombers are produced at airports, and they can also land at airstrips. The transport jet is a long-range transportation aircraft that can drop commandos in parachutes and transport all land units except tanks between airbases. Transport jets are produced at airports, and they can also land at airstrips. The rocket unit is a unit that is not controlled through commands, but instead fired from a launch pad to apply high damage to a concentrated area. Rockets are expensive, but can become important in the late game to eliminate a defensive opponent. Rockets are produced and fired from launch pads. Pre-construct capital. When a match starts, you have a pre-construct budget that will allow you to instantly construct your first few buildings. The pre-construct capital is useful to execute different strategies, such as early expansion with a shipyard, multiple barracks for quick expansion, multiple factories for early tank pushes, or airports for early air superiority. It is also sometimes viable to use pre-construct capital to build economic structures and even a trade route, if you feel that you will not get attacked early or when protected by allies. It is common to use pre-construct capital to build structures concealed by terrain in forests and mountains, since you avoid the 50% additional construction time penalty. Command practices. Avoid cluttering the world with many commands. Fewer carefully drawn commands usually perform better than stressfully drawn messy commands. Delete obsolete commands. Make frequent use of the space key, the right mouse button, or the command bar reset button before drawing new commands to allow the smart selection capability to detect the most commonly used unit filters for land and sea commands. Use specific unit filters for commands to control certain unit types separately. For example, reset the command bar and select tanks before creating a path command to only send tanks. Or reset the command bar and select the transport jet and the commando unit before creating a new command to send commandos as paratroopers. Aircraft profiles. Click on an airbase such as an airport, airstrip, or aircraft carrier to access the aircraft profile to the right on your screen. Configure the aircraft profile with preferences on which type of aircraft that airbase should host. For example, if you have an airport with strikers and interceptors, and you want to move the interceptors to an airstrip within the operational range of the interceptors, select the airstrip and increase the airstrip's aircraft profile for interceptors. The interceptors will take off from the airport and land at the airstrip. If you change the preference to strikers instead, the interceptors and strikers will swap places. Stealth units and structures. Commandos and submarines are naturally stealthy units that are more difficult to detect. Use their stealth to your advantage by infiltrating enemy territories to snipe structures or other units. A commando in the mountains or forest combines its natural stealth with that of the terrain to conceal the units even further. Airstrips, subpens, and launch. An airstrip or launch pad built in the mountains or forest can be very hard to find. Paradropping commandos. Create a command with the commando unit and the transport jet set as receivers to transport commandos and drop them in parachutes. You must have commando units within range of an airport that has transport jets for this to work. You can use any type of command shape and command directive as long as the commando unit and transport jet is set as receivers and the command is within the operational range of the transport jet. Moving helicopters. Create a path command with the move directive and select the helicopter as a command receiver. Make sure that the command is shorter than the operational range of helicopters and that the tip of the path command is in a territory under your or your allies' control. Helicopters are attracted to path commands like land units, so the visible attraction range indicator applies.
You.
You're able to see, right?
Energy pipelines.
Yeah.
Click on an energy producer or energy storage and use the connect button to connect to another energy producer or storage for a small cost. Energy will be distributed between the storage facilities. You can have 2 connections to refineries and power plants and 4 connections to energy depots. Alternatively, you can use the control key to select 2 energy storing facilities and connect them with the connect button or hotkey.
I didn't disconnect anything.
Oh, okay.
You can also destroy pipeline connections if you need to connect storage differently. Storing facilities and connect them with the connect button or hotkey. You can also destroy pipeline connections if you need to connect storage differently. Energy depots. Energy depots can't produce energy on their own, but they can store a large amount of energy in locations of your choice. Energy producers will prioritize sending their energy to storage depots. Gathering an energy reserve can be crucial if your enemy destroys your energy production, but defend your energy storage when needed. Trade routes. Build 2 ports at both ends of the dotted line across the water to establish a trade route. Once the 2 ports are fully constructed, the trade route becomes active and the ports will automatically produce merchant ships that will commute the trade route. When merchant ships dock, they generate lucrative capital income.
Those are pretty powerful.
It can be difficult to protect trade routes as they are an attractive target to your enemy. Likewise, prioritize destroying a port, or better yet, the town or city that is connected to the port, to deny the trade route income for your opponent. Haste units. The move directive, the engage directive, and the target command
should have a pretty good idea
haste
how to play
modifier
it now.
indicated by a boot with wings on the button and on the command itself. When haste is enabled, units will increase their speed by 30% at the cost of 70% higher energy consumptions for tanks, sea and air units, or fatigue damage for foot soldiers, artillery, and SAMs. Hasting is useful if you quickly need to reach a target or make advancements. You can see that units are hasting when foot soldiers run, other land units produce dust, sea units produce a white mist, and air units have wingtip trails and afterburners on. Land units, except tanks, can only haste until their damage level reaches 50% through fatigue or other forms of damage. After that, they can no longer haste and will struggle and stumble on a haste command.
Remember, it says infantry are very cheap and they don't use any fuel.
Unit fatigue. All land units except tanks will suffer from fatigue damage if they are hasting on a command or if they entrench on a defense line. Fatigue damage is no different from normal damage to units, but a unit can only receive fatigue damage down to 50% of its health.
You build a whole crap ton of commandos and do quite well by capping territory.
Unit healing and repair. All damaged land units and sea units will begin to heal or repair if they are left stationary and not attacked for a period of time. Foot soldiers will indicate healing by performing exercises and rest poses to let you know that they are healing. Other land units and all sea units will indicate repair through yellow weld sparks. Air units get repaired in air bases, and helicopters will self-repair when left stationary at an airbase. Like for most other units, the yellow weld sparks indicate repair. There's no cost associated with unit healing and repair in contrast to the repair of structures. Structure repair. Damaged structures will automatically begin to repair if they are not attacked for a period of time. Repair costs some capital, which means that even if you don't fully destroy an economic structure, you have still caused financial damage to your opponent. Self-destruct structures. Click on a structure followed by the self-destruct button in the production bar to destroy a structure. No capital is recovered, but you will save on the upkeep cost when you destroy unnecessary buildings. Disband command. Click on the disband button on the command bar to create a disband command. Set the receivers of the command to the unit type that you want to disband. When units reach the disband command, they will self-destruct. No capital is recovered from their production cost, but the long-term saving of their upkeep is sometimes needed, especially for units that have lost their role due to shifting conditions or units that are far away from any action. Amphibious tank transportation. Tanks can be transported one at a time in landing crafts, but you must control both the embark and disembark territories to allow the amphibious command to accept the tank unit as a receiver. Send other land units first to conquer a territory, then you can add tanks to the amphibious command to ship them across. Connecting commands with a producer. Click on a command and hold the control key down when you click on a producer. You can now click on the connect button and new units by that producer will follow that command even if it's far away from the attraction zone of the command. There must be a valid way for units to navigate to the command without crossing land or water, depending if it's a land or sea command. You can break the connection with the break link button.
That's good to know.
Resource
that,
transfer.
sir?
In team games, allies
link
can transfer
commands
capital
to
and
producer.
energy between each other. To transfer or receive capital, you must share the border with that ally. The number of territory airbase sharing. Select one or more of your airbases and click the share button in the aircraft profile. Scouting. Scouting is important to know what's going on in the fog of war. Units that are particularly
Oh,
good
okay.
for
If I build a
scouting
train,
are
like in
the
co-op,
commando
if I
unit,
build
as
a
it has good
train,
detection.
Uh-huh.
you can use my train to get to where you want to go.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things that piqued my interest.
Capabilities
in
and
videos
can
I
remain
was
concealed.
watching.
The destroyer unit
Teammates
because
can
it's
share each
fast and does
other's,
not consume a lot of energy.
items.
The submarine unit because it can provide information while being concealed,
thing with
and the
airbase.
interceptor because it's fast and it has good detection capabilities. Aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier is the only unit in Line War that can be selected. It is a hybrid of an airbase structure and a naval unit. You control the position of an aircraft carrier like you would any other units in Line War through commands with the aircraft carrier set as a receiver. Use the aircraft profile to the right to configure which type of short and mid-range units that should be transferred to the aircraft carrier. There must be aircraft within the operational range to reach the carrier. When an aircraft is inbound, the carrier will maintain its course and speed until the incoming units have touched down. It may deviate from the command during this period, after which it will return to follow the command. Air units that are assigned to commands will not automatically transfer to the aircraft carrier. They must return to base without a command before they can be transferred. Split units. Separating units can be a bit tricky. One way is to create 2 point commands and begin to distribute units between them, after which you can create path commands to send units in different ways. Listen. Audio plays an important part in Line War. You will begin to recognize the sound of incoming tanks before you see them. The tempo and style of music indicate the sighting of an enemy and the superiority or inferiority in ongoing battles. Coastal artillery. Deploy artillery in straits or to defend your structures from naval attacks. Hide anti-air. Position SAM in forests and mountains to conceal them from your opponent. If you are losing mobile defenses, often move lines hide anti-air. air units over an area, it's mobile defenses. Often move lines can be better than defense lines if you want to avoid fatigue damage or if you are likely to move your units within a short period of time. Timed directive alteration. Perform time changes of directives for tactical maneuvers. For example, send aircraft along a move path to prevent them from engaging units, and switch the command to the engage directive when they are over structures or units that you wish to attack. Another example is to use move paths for land units to prevent congestion and switch the command directive to engage when more units have penetrated into enemy units. Leave entrenchments. Toggle a defense line to engage directive to keep but temporarily leave the entrenchments. When the command directive is changed back to defend, units will return to the entrenchments without having to dig in again. This is useful when enemy artillery has approached an infantry defense line where the infantry must advance to the artillery in order to attack it. Inter-airbase transfer. Drag from an airbase to another airbase to create an inter-airbase transfer command. Select the command and configure which type of units to transfer. There must be transport jets at least one of the airbases, and the airbases must be within operational range of the transport jets. Designated air routes. Reset the command bar and specifically select air units of your choice and create a path command routed as you wish. It is sometimes better to route aircraft this way rather than with point or target commands if there is strong AA presence in the direct flight path. You can also use designated air routes to not reveal your location or sneak commandos behind enemy lines. Limit unit response. Create a command and units will begin to follow. Switch off the unit receiver when you don't want to send any more units. This is useful if you have multiple interceptors and you only want to send one to scout an area. You can toggle the unit receiver on and off in a timed fashion to limit the number of units to send. This is not common practice as it requires some micromanagement, but it can be useful at times to conserve energy or units. Out an area. You can toggle the unit receiver on and off in a timed fashion to limit the number of units to send. This is not common practice as it requires some micromanagement, but it can be useful at times to conserve energy or units. Infantry entrenching. Create a defense line with only infantry as receivers and let them dig in and create entrenchment and take the fatigue damage. Then, toggle on units that you want to be in the entrenchments without letting them get fatigue damage. Stop production. Stop producing units before you overproduce to save on upkeep. You can also use the Stop All Production button in the production bar to emergency stop all producers in the world if you desperately need capital. But be careful, stopping all production worldwide accidentally can have a critical impact on a match. Foreign shore construction.
Oh, so that's what
Send sea units, preferably stealthy submarines, and conquer a sea territory that borders a foreign shore. Once the sea territory is in your control, you can construct shipyards or stealthy subpens even on the shore of a hostile territory for a sneaky surprise. Distant air transfer. It is possible to do long-distance transfer of aircraft beyond their operational range. If you have two airbases that are very distant from each other, send aircraft to the edge of their operational range. Configure the remote airbase aircraft profile to favor that aircraft type, and delete the command when the air units are within range of the remote airbase. The aircraft will locate the airbase and land there instead due to the aircraft profile preference. Merchant ship sniping. If the ports of a trade routes are heavily defended, you may be able to position submarines or even coastal artillery to sink merchant ships as they pass. Your opponent may not detect this sneaky sniping of merchant ships, which is denying plenty of their income without their knowledge.
Interesting.
Keyboard shortcuts. Practice learning the keyboard shortcuts for everything. Keys. Even if line war is designed to reduce the need for many actions per minute. Cancel before destruction. If a producer is under attack and about to be destroyed, cancel the production to recover production cost before the producer is destroyed. This is particularly important to launchpads due to the extreme cost of a rocket. Pause merchant ships. If you're about to lose a trade route, you can click on ports and stop them from producing merchant ships, as they are associated with production cost. Safeguard merchant ships. If a trade route has been destroyed, you can create commands with merchant ships as receivers to guide the merchant ships to a safe location until the trade route can be re-established. Move past target. Rather than using a target command, sometimes it is better to create a move path command in the path of a structure or a point command on the other side of an enemy structure. This will allow more of your units to reach the intended target structure and at the same time force your enemy to chase your units. Hide invasion. Gather invasion forces in forest or mountain terrain and produce landing crafts in a remote location to avoid detection before the invasion. When you have enough landing crafts and land units, create a partial multi-path amphibious command to load the units. Use a path command with haste if you have the energy to do a surprise landing with your invasion forces. Territory theft. Try to sneak units, especially stealthy commandos, into remote enemy territory, preferably away from their area of attention. Let the commandos conquer the territory and construct producers. Time your continued expansion when you have enough forces to surprise or disrupt your enemy. Short shoot rocket. Rockets can get shot down if they fly over multiple AA units. When your opponent is aware of your launchpad, they may produce extreme amounts of SAM and missile ships to defend against the rocket. You can fire the rocket in front of the AA units to wipe them out instead of risking losing the rocket if you try to send it too deep. Commando and submarine rocket resistance. Your commandos and submarines are somewhat resistant to your own rocket blasts, so you can use those units as scouts to identify good target points for your rockets. Picking recommendations. Commando and submarine rocket picking recommendations. In single and team games, always pick strong starting locations during the picking phase. Examples of strong locations are central parts of large landmasses, because conquering territories will generate a lot of capital, which is important to build a big army.
Holy
Access
cow,
to
that
energy
missile made a
wells and
hell of a
economic sites also
boom.
contribute to strong starting locations. Even if you want to start elsewhere, pick the strong starting locations first to deny your enemy from starting in such superior places. If you start by picking a remote location with slow expansion opportunities, you will likely have lost the match already in the picking phase. The only times a remote or cornered location is beneficial is in FFA matches, where you can avoid early conflicts and keep your back clear, or in team matches where you have planned with your teammates that you have a specific role in that location, for example energy production and sharing or a stealthy attack. Conserve energy. Conserve energy and use it when needed. Delete unnecessary commands for energy-consuming units. Build up energy storage, preferably larger buffers in depots, and decisively use your tanks, navy, and air units only when needed. New players often complain about the inability to move energy-consuming units, but that is because of overproducing the number of units and not sufficiently producing and buffering energy. Energy is as important as capital in line war. Use it wisely. Utilize units. Units that do not see any action or remain in overly defensive positions cost upkeep. Leave only a sufficient amount of units to defend depending on the situation, and try not to overproduce and actively use as many units as possible. Rocket defense. Utilize units. Units that do not see any action or remain in overly defensive positions cost upkeep. Leave only a sufficient amount of units to defend depending on the situation, and try not to overproduce and actively use as many units as possible. Rocket defense. Build your new producers further away to reduce the damage of rocket explosions. Separate units on multiple commands. Build plenty of SAM and missile ships to put in the path of a previously fired rocket. Locate the launch pad through interceptor scouting. Try to take out the launch pad with directed combined land and air attacks. You can also try to deny the enemy of launching the rocket by taking out energy production and storage. Choke defense. Choke points are easy to defend by creating concave defense lines, especially with artillery. If you can place cruisers on either side of the choke, it may be nearly impossible for the enemy to penetrate. But be cautious of rockets when concentrating units. Frontline supply. Don't overstretch your supply of units to the front line. Even if you have a decent force, the enemy can produce fresh units close to the battle, while it takes you a long time to send reinforcements. It may be better to gather your units on move lines and attack with larger numbers. Also, consider building new producers closer to the front line. Decisive attacks. Don't trickle units into battle a few at a time. Gather enough units to make decisive attacks instead. It is easy to forget or avoid deleting offensive commands, but it will reward you to gather a strong force before attacking. Submarine defense. If you are surprise attacked by submarines, they can be hard to counter. If you have sufficient funds, build air units, especially interceptors to locate the submarines and strikers or helicopters to take them out. Build replacement shipyards and sub-pens where you think it is less likely that they will be found by submarines. This can be in distant backwaters at the edge of the world. Prioritize building destroyers to detect and attack enemy submarines. Protect shipyards and sub-pens by coastal artillery and other units that can assist to detect the submarines with accumulated sight. Economy first. Prioritize to conquer territories and build your economy. Without capital, you are unable to produce units, build structures, and pay for the upkeep. If you have the option to conquer a neutral or an enemy territory, prioritize conquering the enemy territory first, as it will double the economic effect as you grow your economy at the expense of shrinking your enemy's economy. Terrain advantage. Make use of forest and mountain terrain to your advantage. Conceal your structures in terrain if you can spare the extra build time. Hide your units in terrain, making it difficult for your opponent to estimate your strength. Sometimes an entire production center and army can reside in a forest without getting noticed, even when the enemy has sight into the fog of war in that region. Defensive positions in mountains also bring armor bonus. Producers in mountains defended by artillery and other land units on defense lines can be very hard to attack. Simultaneous attacks. Try to perform simultaneous attacks on multiple fronts at the same time. For example, send multiple invasion landings at the same time. Drop commandos, send airstrikes, and attack units or refineries at sea simultaneously. Combined arms attack. To concentrate damage, combine attacks with multiple forces. If you are battling on land, observe for territory loss. Occasionally pan over your empire, especially regions where you do not have sight in the fog of war. Look out for signs of territory loss, because your enemy may have performed an undetected attack and begun to conquer your territories. Energy denial. Air defense. If you are overwhelmed by air, prioritize the production of SAM, missile ships, and interceptors. Pull back units that lack AA protection. If your enemy has incredible air strength with multiple air bases, you may suffer heavy losses before you can build up enough AA to counter. However, economy denial. Air defense. This can inflict a lot of damage, especially as the number of air units begin to drop. Air units useless, as multiple AA units can inflict a lot of damage, especially as the number of air units begin. Economy denial. If you conquer enemy territories, destroy economic structures such as cities, towns, industries, and disrupt trade routes,
You heading for some certain seeds?
Yeah, kind of.
Cool. Kind of learn how it, which seeds you want to try it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the very first one was pretty cool. That small map.
Yeah.
Did you figure out how to put the icons on the map? Where that I've never seen these
They
before.
just show up sometimes, and sometimes they don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't really. I plan to try. Don't worry. Okay. Apparently, there's no farms on this. Yeah, I don't see anything about being able to fucking build in forest. This can only be built on farms. See what I'm talking about? Where's this industry shit coming?
Yeah, I
It
think
said in one of the tutorials I could build a thing in a forest. Well, what is it? What can I build in the forest? There's nothing here to build in the forest.
I'd say it's probably a wood industry or something like that. A wood
But
industry
it's
or
not
a farm.
there. It's not fucking there. That's what I'm telling you. There's nothing here that says, oh, this is for cutting down trees. There's nothing. Only thing here is for farms. Only build this on a farm site. I can't put anything in the trees like the tutorial said I could.
What about oil?
Hammer, we've been over this. See this? Little black thing? You put the refinery energy thing.
So every single territory that you take, or when you pick your territories, it spawns 4 infantry.
Uh-huh. Ones that you start with.
And then it said to build infantry because they're cheap and they can conquer a lot of territory. Another thing that you should build is commandos. Where's your red guys? I don't even see them.
That's on to next. Yeah, see, I don't even have that linking thing. Looking on my barracks, no option to link it to an order. Tutorial fucking lied to me.
And you're catching a lot of territory in hell of a hurry, though.
Tutorial lied. I can't link any of this to man. I have to join a secret.
I don't know. What about producing more infantry? Try and build a place where you can produce infantry. See if you can link it to that.
I already did, Hammer. Can you not see what I'm doing?
I do. You want to pick a handicapped? I'd go up somewhere behind the 7. Pick them completely off of that continent. Remember, your submarines are the ones that take take over the territories on land, on the water the fastest.
Apparently, has to be specific forest sites.
You're taking them over, though, huh? Have you built some submarines?
Hammer, no. Why'd bother building right now? I have bigger
That's how you
problems to-
cap. That's how you cap
I
water.
have bigger problems to worry about.
Okay.
You know why? Because I don't have any of those energy wells in my territory. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
drive a submarine without energy.
Gotcha.
Hmm? I built one of these energy things, but not really. You know?
Mm-hmm. Building transport ships to get them troops up there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Pick them off that island.
Yep, that's pretty much the idea.
God.
There you go.
So you're hauling all your troops up there, huh? Gonna take out that one island first? That one landmass?
Yeah, I'm just capturing like things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also capturing these oil energy wells.
Yeah. Yeah, those are a lot better than the electricity. Plus, you can upgrade your cities once you get 3 of them that are right next to each other.
Come on, hurry up. Andale, andale.
Hit Shift Plus.
What you call me? Call me gay? I am a little bit. The tutorial said territories do give you extra.
Yes. Can't wait to see your battle. This is gonna be kick ass.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad. I'm gonna get one side.
Where are you gonna make the landing at? On the top?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Where do you
Look at
produce
that.
your
Got a
commandos
trade
at?
route going.
Where do you produce your commandos?
In the barracks.
Okay. Yeah, I see you already. You made land up there. You're starting to take territory.
Figure out why it keeps bridges too. Stop, I'm not trying to build a damn railroad.
And how did you research new technology?
This tall building.
Oh, okay. You have enough. Oil now where you can run some subs.
Yeah, I've started building them.
Nice. Okay. It's pretty hard to see them. Then what builds those like big strong missiles?
The missile launch pad.
Oh, okay. Okay, that your academy is a tall building.
Yeah, but I need to destroy it so I can connect it to it. Yeah.
Hit delete. Zoom out so I can see what you got going on here. As far as what's red and what's blue.
I'm not.
Looks like you're freaking dominating them. You're walking in with a bunch of infantry. Are you still attacking from the north too? Way up there? Like you got the hang of it now. Well, before long, you're gonna have them completely taken over. Can you build another academy or just one? Hmm?
Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to. It's hard to translate in my brain what I'm trying to do versus.
Yeah.
I forgot to put a port on my starting city. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like that?
That's pretty good.
One.
I know it. Kicked ass at it. So now you know you to build that thing next to the city, huh? I said now you know to build that thing next to the city.
Mm-hmm. So now what? Now what?
So you do a land war. Either that or we can play a Supreme Ruler. You want to play Supreme Ruler?
I'd rather play something. I don't want to play Supreme Ruler. I'd rather play something.
Take over those diamonds. What's your strategy? So I kind of have an idea what you're going to do.
I ain't got a clue. Hanging it. Rapid expansion.
Sure, that diamond mine is worth something.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
My hand kind of.
Oh, there's an oil rig there that you can take over. Oh, you can't do it yet because of the
Yeah.
you haven't quite fully taken it.
Yep, gotta take the territory.
That's taken now. Grab it.
I need money for that.
How much is an oil rig?
You gotta have money for everything.
I know. I'll keep an eye on your money for you.
Right now, pence. That's part of why I didn't want doing this. Having like separate part of my.
Up. You're about to conquer some more territory. Another oil rig.
Want me to conquer.
Ooh, there's a offshore oil there. Right off your coast.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You got some more industries there. You got an oil well you can build. Right back. Water.
Is that your phone, Hammer?
Kicking ass and taking names. believe you resigned that. You did great.
I didn't resign it. I won. The
Oh,
AI
okay.
resigned.
He resigned it. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. God, man.
Yeah.
You got it down now. All you got to do is ratchet up your handicaps.
Hmm. Well, you want to do something else now?
Um, what are you thinking? See what else I can watch you play. How about some X4, I guess?
Yeah, I could get.
Okay.
I don't really know what I'm doing though.
Okay.
But it is something I can use my controller with. My wrist and hand is hurting.
Yeah, if that's the case, then use your, yeah. Controller. What was that movie game that you bought? Home something?
There's Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, it was called Home something, I thought. Like, you make movies?
Home.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. Something like
What you
that.
talking about? I got headliners.
Yeah, that game. That's what it's called, Headliners.
Oh, well, you're like a news report. Crazy out.
Oh, okay.
Kind of fun to play. Party game.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
Try that one, I guess. Either that or try that tank game I was telling you about, that one where you manufacture the tanks.
hurts so bad. Like all the blood gets drained out of my arm. Constant muscle strain. You know? Give me a minute. I'm updating a couple of my mods for X4. Okay. Might take a minute. You know what I mean? Have I shown you Blade of Darkness? You see me play that? Gamer? Hello? Gamer?
Yeah, not interested in seeing.
What?
Not interested.
How insulting.
Sorry.
What are you not interested in?
Just in that, interested in X4. Want to see you build a ship.
Yeah, I said it's gonna be a while because it's downloading something.
Yeah.
I said I'm gonna do something in the meantime. How about I play Blade of Darkness? It's a single player game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jeez. Is that why you said you weren't interested? Hmm?
I'd just rather you,
Hammer, downloading.
Yeah.
Can't play right now. Waiting.
understand.
You little pretzel. Bretzel. You know what? I'm gonna touch you.
Yeah, put on Blade of Darkness.
I liked the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know? It was pretty good. I gotta go pee.
All right.
I'll do something else. Railgrade says it has controllers. I'll just try that.
Okay.
Congratulations on a safe trip. On behalf of all of us at Nakatani Chemicals, I'd like to bid you welcome to our colony. We have recently identified a significant opportunity to improve the current infrastructure of the planet, which is why you're here, Administrator, to help us implement a new mode of transportation one that once conquered Earth's old frontiers. The railway. It's now your responsibility to grow our network of railways and oversee the management of our most important industries. By developing a transport network for our powerful train engines, we'll be able to easily deliver resources and fuel growth across the planet. Succeed, and our colony will be the envy of the entire galaxy. Fail, and, well, you don't need to worry about the consequences right now. I know you might miss Earth, but don't worry. When you've seen what's possible here, you'll never want to leave. Good luck, Administrator. Everyone is counting on you.
Speaking of which, when did you want to go back to Railway Empire 2 again?
I haven't really thought about it.
I guess you haven't. There's a lot of stuff that we'll be back to.
On Thursday, we leave for Cyprus, so we won't be on for a while.
Cyprus. Coming by?
Cyprus. Like out in the Mediterranean.
Tomorrow?
No, Thursday.
All right, X-Force should be good to go now.
Okay.
Starting it up in just a second. Any second now.
Alrighty.
Any second. okay. I don't remember anything I was doing. Hey. I don't know how to play anymore. They're watching me. I'm just hitting random buttons now because I don't remember. I don't
Crazy.
remember. I don't remember what I'm doing. Holy afro. Uh. Oh. Probably have to make a new save. Update the.
Can I help? Sir? Can I help? Goodbye. Can I help? Sir?
Sir.
No men allowed on my bridge. I must have my harem fantasies. A little quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm a big Star Trek fan. I can't play a space game. Star Trek on it. Fishies.
Can I help? Sir?
Figure out what up.
Tired of waiting for shuttles? Want to fly wherever you want, whenever you want? Then what you need is a pilot's license. And what's the best place to get one? That's right, Jace Winger's Flight School. I do theory, I do practice, and I'm licensed for weapons training. With my tried and tested training course, you'll be an ace pilot in no time. Tired of waiting for shuttles? Want to fly wherever you want, whenever you want? Then what you need is a pilot's license. And what's the best place to get one? That's right, Jace Winger's Flight School. I do theory, I do... Tired?
Today we'll cover one of my most advanced lessons, designing and building stations. Open the map. To begin with, you need a plot of space. Open the highlighted menu. Here, you can manage your plots, or buy new ones, as we will do now. Create a new plot now. You can leave the size as it is. The two boxes you see are your actual plot, and the buffer distance it needs to have between it and other stations, gates and highways. You will also notice a price being displayed. It changes as you move the plot around. Not only are certain sectors more expensive than others, the price also goes up if gates, highways or stations are nearby. Place the plot in a remote but cheap location for now. Now buy the license for this plot. You can build a station without paying for the plot, but that is sure to anger whoever owns the sector. Now select Continue to get to the next step. The left side lists all the types of station modules. Production modules are open by default. Let's start with a dock though. Open the highlighted menu. You have access to two modules right now, a pier for capital ships and a dock module for smaller ships. There are many more options, but you need to acquire their blueprints first. Select the pier. You'll notice its colour sometimes changing between green and red. If it's red, then it's not in a valid location. It may be outside of the plot, intersect with another module, or be in an exclusion zone. We will learn about those in a moment. Place this module anywhere inside the plot. A so-called transform gizmo has appeared. You can grab and drag any of the arrows to move the module along that axis. Do so now. Doing the same to one of the circles will rotate the module. Do so now. You can reset a module's rotation by interacting with it. Do so now. Okay, now select the other dock module. As you move it around, you will notice that it can snap to the already placed pier. You may also notice that you can't place it in the marked area in front of the pier. That is the so-called exclusion zone. Needs to be free of other modules so that ships can dock. Place the dock module now. Let's place a few more modules to make this a fully operational station. First, take a look at the other module section. There are a number of cheap connection modules that you can use to make your station look nice. You don't have to use them, but feel free to do so during this lesson. Now, select a production module and place it. All production modules turn certain resources into a product, except for this one, which stores solar power in energy cells. Its output depends on the sector. Your encyclopedia has the info you need. There are also build modules which work very similarly, but their products are ships and equipment. Next, we'll absolutely need a storage module. There are modules for the different types of storage. We only need container storage here, so place one of these. Now, place a habitation module. Without it, you won't have room for a workforce. While productions can run automatically, actual workers increase their efficiency a lot. You do need to keep them supplied with food and medicine, though. By the way, if you're struggling to attract people to your station, a welfare module can go a long way to help. Finally, place a defense module. It doesn't automatically come with any turrets, so let's add some now. Interact with the defense module and select Edit Loadout. This works exactly like loadouts for ships. Add at least one turret and confirm the changes. you're satisfied, you can confirm your changes with a highlighted button. Now, we need to hire a builder ship. The map is now in a special mode that focuses on these builder ships. The one next to the other station is currently busy, but you can select the other one by interacting with it. Do so now. Next, you need to make sure that the required resources will be delivered to this station's build storage. If you expand this item, you can see exactly what is needed. And if you expand this one, you can allocate funds for trade offers. These will be seen by traders who will then sell them to your station. Of course, you can also deliver everything yourself. But for now, simply accept the estimate and close this menu. The builder ship will now move to your station and use the delivered resources and its welder drones to construct it according to your plan. You can move or remove for
Tired of waiting for shuttles? Want to fly wherever you want?
So, you've successfully built a station. Now, let's make it operate properly. First off, you need a manager. Dock at the nearby station and hire someone. Stop that criminal.
Docking granted. Successfully docked.
Welcome. Stop that criminal.
Docking granted. Successfully docked.
Welcome.
Quasar, Vanguard.
Hello there.
So, you've successfully built a station. Now, let's make it operate properly. First off, you need a manager. Dock at the nearby station and hire someone.
That looks so confusing building that stuff.
Docking granted. Successfully docked. Welcome.
User disconnected from your channel.